I discovered my parents stole my savings for sister's house, so I revealed my $1 million secret and left. My parents said, "We spent 95% of your savings to buy your sister's house." My sister scoffed, "You don't have a penny left." But I burst out laughing because they had no idea what those savings were. There are moments in life when you have to test the people you love the most, when you need to know if you can trust them or if they just see you as a convenient resource. My name is Alejandro. I am 28 years old, and I am a regional manager for a major retail chain. It is a position I earned after years of hard work, sacrifice, and climbing the ladder from a salesperson to my current role. I make good money every month, an excellent salary that allows me to live very comfortably, but my family does not know that. I never told them. I live with my parents, Alberto and Rosa, aged 55 and 52, respectively, and my younger sister, Valeria, who is 25, in a rented 3-bedroom house. I've been paying for everything since I got my first decent job 5 years ago. My parents work, but in part-time jobs that barely cover their personal expenses. My mother works as a salesperson in a boutique. My father is an administrative assistant in a small office, and my sister Valeria does not work. She graduated from college with a degree in business administration, but according to her, she is waiting for the right opportunity. Meanwhile, she lives off my money without contributing a single thing. For years, I have been the silent provider for the family. I pay the rent, the utilities, the food, but I have always felt something was missing: respect, appreciation, genuine gratitude. Instead, I would get comments like, "I wish you earned more so we could move to a better house," or "Why cannot you buy us a car?" or Valeria's favorite, "If you were truly successful, we would have our own house by now." 6 months ago, I decided to conduct an experiment, a test to see if my family truly valued me, or if they just saw me as a walking wallet. I went to the bank and opened a new debit account. I deposited $10,000 into that account, $10,000 that represented exactly 1% of my actual savings, which were in other accounts my family knew nothing about. I had over $1 million in savings and investments accumulated over years of earning well and living modestly, but they did not know that. I never told them how much I really earned. I always told them I was a sales assistant making just enough each month to cover the household expenses with a little extra. Then at a family dinner, I handed them the debit card linked to that $10,000. "What is this?" my father asked, looking at the card. "It is a card with all my savings," I lied. "It is $10,000. I have been saving it for years. I want you to use it to pay the household bills, the rent, utilities, food. That way, I do not have to be transferring money all the time." I saw their eyes light up when they heard $10,000. $10,000, my mother repeated. "Alejandro, that is a lot of money. Are you sure you want to entrust us with your entire account?" "You are my family," I said, watching their reactions carefully. "I trust you. Just use it for household things, nothing else." "Of course," my father said, taking the card. "Just for the house, you can trust us." Valeria said nothing, but I saw the smirk on her face, and something about that smirk made me nervous. For the first 2 months, everything seemed normal. I checked the account balance regularly. I saw payments for rent, utilities, grocery shopping, all legitimate. I started to think that maybe I had been too suspicious, that my family really was trustworthy. But in the 3rd month, things changed. I started noticing large withdrawals, $500 here, $800 there, purchases at expensive clothing stores, dinners at fancy restaurants. Clearly, these were not household expenses. But I said nothing. I kept watching, kept waiting. By the 5th month, the balance had dropped from $10,000 to $5,000. They had spent $5,000 in 5 months when the household bills amounted to much less than what they were spending. They were clearly using my money for their own luxuries. And then the day came that changed everything. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was in my room when I heard my family gathered in the living room. There was excitement in their voices. Curious, I went out to see what was happening. "Alejandro," my mother called me with a huge smile. "Come, we have wonderful news." I sat on the sofa, mentally preparing myself for what was coming. "Son," my father began, "we have made an important decision for the family." "What decision?" I asked. "We bought a house," Valeria announced proudly. "Well, we made the down payment on a house, a beautiful 3-bedroom house. It is for Valeria," my mother added. "It is about time she had her own place. She is an adult. She needs her independence." I felt my heart start to beat faster. "And how did you pay for it?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. There was an awkward silence. Then my father spoke. "We used the money from your card," he said. "We spent 95% of your savings to pay the down payment. It was $4,750, but it was worth it. Your sister has a house now." I just sat there processing what I had just heard. They had spent practically all the money I entrusted to them. Money I told them was all of my savings to buy a house for Valeria. Valeria laughed. A cruel, mocking laugh. You do not have a penny left, brother. But you should be happy for me. I finally have my own house. Well, I will have my own house once we finish paying the mortgage in 20 years. And that is the other news, my mother said, smiling. We are going to move in with Valeria to her new house. The three of you, your father, me, and Valeria. It will be perfect. More space. Sure, the neighborhood is a bit ugly, but a house is a house. They had spent the money on a house located in one of the worst neighborhoods in the city. I could not believe it. And me? I asked. Well, my father said, looking at me uncomfortably, the house only has 3 bedrooms, and frankly, son, we do not need you anymore. Valeria has her house. We have a place to live now. You can find your own place. It is time for you to be independent anyway. Of course. Just keep sending the money for the bills, and now add the mortgage for your sister's house to that. I sat there looking at them, expecting to feel pain, betrayal, sadness. But instead I felt something completely different, relief. Because now I knew the truth. I knew exactly who they were. And the test had worked perfectly. And then I could not help it. I burst out laughing. I started laughing hard, so hard my stomach hurt. The 3 of them looked at me as if I had gone crazy. What are you laughing at? Valeria asked, annoyed. We just spent all your savings and we are kicking you out. What is so funny? It is just, I said between laughs. It is perfect, absolutely perfect. I could not have asked for a better outcome. What? My father asked, confused. I stood up, wiping away tears of laughter. Let me tell you something. That $10,000 I gave you, those savings you just spent on Valeria's house, that was only 1% of my actual savings. The silence that followed was absolute. What? My mother whispered. 1%? I repeated, savoring every second of it. I have $1 million in savings and investments. $1 million, and that $10,000 was just a test. No, I do not understand, my father stammered. Let me explain, I said, walking towards the window. You see, I am not a sales assistant. I am a regional manager for a major retail chain. I make a lot of money every month. I have been earning it for years, and I have been saving and investing it wisely. I watched as their faces changed from confusion to understanding to pure horror. I gave you that $10,000 as a test, I continued. I specifically told you it was all my savings and to only use it for household bills. I wanted to see if I could trust you, if you valued me, if you respected my boundaries. Alejandro, my mother started. And you failed, I said, turning to face them spectacularly. Not only did you use my money for personal things, but you spent 95% of it on a house for Valeria without even asking me. And then you had the audacity to kick me out because you did not need me anymore. We did not know, my father began. Exactly, I interrupted him. You did not know. You did not know I have $1 million. You did not know I am a manager. You did not know anything about me because you never bothered to ask. You just assumed I was your perpetual cash cow. Alejandro, we are sorry, my mother said, standing up. If we had known you were a manager, that you had so much money, we never would have. Never would have what? I asked. Never would have spent my money, never would have kicked me out. The point is, you did it. You did it believing you had left me with nothing. You kicked me out thinking you had taken all my savings. That is what this reveals about you. Valeria was pale. Now, brother, I did not mean those things. I was joking about kicking you out. You were not joking, I said firmly. You were celebrating. Celebrating that you had finally gotten rid of the brother who supported you for years without ever getting a thank you. What are you going to do? My father asked, his voice trembling. Exactly what you wanted, I said with a smile. I am leaving. I am going to find my own place. In fact, I have already found it. I bought a penthouse last week. It is fully furnished and ready. I am moving out tomorrow. You bought a penthouse? My mother repeated, incredulous. Yes, I confirmed. A nice one. City view. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, modern kitchen. It cost $250,000. I paid for it in cash. The 3 of them just stood. Their jaws dropped. So congratulations, Valeria, I said, looking at my sister. You have your new house. Although you only made a $4,750 down payment, and now you have to pay the mortgage for the next 20 years. I hope you have a plan to pay for it because I am not contributing a single cent. Wait, Valeria said, the panic now clear in her voice. The monthly payments are $1,200. I do not have a job. I thought that you would help us. Why would you think that? I asked, after you just kicked me out and told me you do not need me anymore. Because you are our son, my mother said, because we are family. A family that used me as a bank for years, I said. A family that spent my money without permission. A family that kicked me out as soon as they thought I was no longer useful. No, thank you. You 3 can be a family amongst yourselves. I am no longer part of this equation. Alejandro, please, my father begged. We cannot afford that mortgage without your help. That is not my problem, I said. You should have thought of that before buying a house you cannot afford, before spending money that was not yours, before betraying my trust. I went to my room and started packing my things. I could hear their voices in the living room arguing, panicking, trying to find a solution. But it was not my problem, not anymore. The next day, I moved into my penthouse. It was beautiful, modern, and most importantly, it was mine, completely mine. For 1 week, I had peace, blessed silence. No one asking me for money, no one expecting me to pay their bills, just me living my life on my terms. But then the calls started. First, it was my mother. Alejandro, please, we need to talk. We made a terrible mistake. Forgive us. I blocked her number. Then my father, son, I know you are upset, but you cannot abandon your family like this. We need you. Blocked. Valeria was the most persistent. She called from different numbers, sent messages, even showed up in my building's lobby, but security would not let her up. 1 month after I moved out, I finally answered one of her calls just to make things clear. What do you want, Valeria? I asked, my voice tired. Brother, please, she begged, and I could hear tears in her voice. We need your help. The first mortgage payment is due in 3 days and we do not have the money. It is $1,200. Please help us just this once. No, I said simply. Please, she cried. If we do not pay, the bank is going to start the foreclosure process. We are going to lose the house. You should have thought of that, I said, before you bought a house you could not afford with money you stole. We did not steal it, she protested weakly. You spent it without permission on something it was not intended for. I said that is theft. And on top of that, you kicked me out, so no, I am not helping. Figure it out yourselves. You are selfish, she screamed. A horrible brother, you always were. And you were always a family that only valued me for my money, I replied calmly. At least now I am free of that. Goodbye, Valeria. And I hung up. I blocked that number too. My father tried to contact me through a work colleague. The message was the same. They needed money. The mortgage. Please help. My answer was the same. No. 2 months after I moved out, I received a call from a cousin, Miguel, who still spoke to me. Alejandro, he said, his voice serious. I do not know if you know, but the bank foreclosed on Valeria's house. They auctioned it off last week. I see, I said, not surprised. Your parents and Valeria are living in a small room now. The 3 of them in a single room they rent for $400 a month. Your mother and father had to get second jobs. Valeria finally got a job as a cashier at a supermarket. Thanks for telling me, I said. Are not you going to help them? Miguel asked. No, I replied. They created this situation. They can solve it. They are your family, Miguel insisted. A family values me, respects me, appreciates me, I said. They only saw me as money. So no, they are not my family. Not anymore. Miguel sighed but did not press the issue further. Today, 4 months after moving out, I am living my best life. My penthouse is my sanctuary. I work hard at my job as a manager, but now all my money is for me. I invest, I travel, I enjoy myself. Occasionally, I hear information about my family through cousins or mutual acquaintances. I know they are struggling. I know the 3 of them work long hours at jobs they probably despise. I know they live in very cramped conditions compared to what they had when I was supporting them. Do I feel bad? Sometimes they are my parents and my sister after all. But then I remember that day. I remember how they spent money they thought was everything I had. I remember how they kicked me out without remorse when they believed I was no longer useful. I remember Valeria's laugh when she said, "You do not have a penny left." And the feeling of guilt disappears because I learned something valuable from this experience. People show you who they really are when they think there are no consequences, when they think they have the power. My family showed exactly who they were, and now they are living with the consequences of their actions. Meanwhile, I am free. Free from being used, free from being taken for granted, free to live my life for myself. And that freedom, honestly, is priceless. Update 1. I thought this was all over, but something happened. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was in my office reviewing sales reports when my assistant, Carolina, knocked on the door with an uncomfortable expression. Mr. Delgado, she said, using my formal surname as she always did at the office, there are 3 people in reception who claim to be your family. They are asking to see you. They say it is urgent. My heart sank. I knew exactly who they were. Tell them I am not available, I said, turning my attention back to my computer. I already did, Carolina said, biting her lip. But they are causing a scene. They say they will not leave until they speak with you. The receptionist is trying to handle the situation, but they are being very insistent. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. Of course they were causing a scene. Of course they could not just accept my decision and move on. All right, I said, standing up. I will go down and speak with them, but call security and ask them to be on standby in case I need them. Understood, sir, Carolina said, quickly leaving. I took the elevator down to the lobby. When the doors opened, I saw them immediately. My parents and Valeria were standing near the reception desk. They looked terrible. My mother's hair was unkempt, and her clothes had clearly seen better days. My father looked thinner, older, stooped as if carrying the weight of the world. And Valeria, my sister, who had always been so vain about her appearance, was wearing a supermarket work uniform and worn-out sneakers. They saw me and their faces lit up with a mixture of relief and desperation. Talk, I said. You have 2 minutes. My mother started first, tears already streaming down her cheeks. Son, we came to ask for your forgiveness. What we did was unforgivable. We spent your money without permission. We kicked you out of the house. We treated you horribly. We were wrong, so wrong, and we deeply regret it. My father added, every day we regret our actions. Please, Alejandro, we need your forgiveness. I looked at them in silence, waiting because I knew there was something more. There was always something more with them. Valeria cleared her throat. And we also need your help. There it was, the room where we live, Valeria continued, not meeting my eyes. It is horrible, tiny, dirty, in a dangerous neighborhood. The 3 of us share a single room, a single bathroom. It is humiliating, Alejandro, and we work so hard. My mother said, your father has 2 jobs now. I work all day. Valeria too. And we still barely make enough for that awful room and basic food. So we came to ask you, my father said, finally getting to the point, to let us stay with you in your penthouse. We know it has 2 bedrooms. We can take one, Valeria the other. We will not bother you. We just need a decent place to live. I just stood there processing what they had just asked. After everything they had done, after spending my money, kicking me out, treating me like trash, now they wanted to live in my penthouse. The penthouse I bought with my money that I pay for with my work, that is my personal sanctuary. The audacity was astounding. No, I said simply. What? Valeria asked, as if she could not believe what she was hearing. No, I repeated. You are not going to live in my penthouse. You are not going to live with me. You are not going to be a part of my life in any way. But we are your family, my mother protested. No, I said, feeling years of repressed anger start to surface. A family does not spend their son's savings without permission. A family does not kick their son out onto the street thinking they have left him with nothing. A family does not laugh while telling him, you do not have a penny left. We were wrong, my mother sobbed. We already admitted it. What more do you want? I want you to leave, I said. I want you to leave me alone. I want to live my life without being your personal bank, without being your backup plan when things get tough. I opened the door and called security. 2 security guards appeared immediately. Carolina had followed my request to have them ready. Please escort these 3 people out of the building, I said in a professional voice, and make sure to inform reception that they are not to be allowed back under any circumstances. Yes, sir, one of the guards said. No, Valeria screamed. Alejandro, you cannot do this. I can and I am, I said, turning to them one last time. 5 months of living in that horrible room and you still do not get it. I did not come to rescue you when you lost the house. I did not answer your calls when you begged for money. What made you think I would let you live with me? Because we are family, my father said desperately as the guards began to escort them away. Family helps each other. Family respects each other, I countered. Family values each other. Family does not use and discard each other. You are not my family. You are just people who shared my blood and my roof as long as it was convenient for you. Those were the last words I said to them. The guards removed them from the building as they shouted, cried, and begged. Part of me felt bad. They were my parents, my sister. I had seen them broken, desperate, pleading. But the larger part of me, the part that had carried their weight for years, the part that had been used and discarded, felt only relief. I held my ground. I did not give in, did not let them manipulate me with tears and pleas, and now they knew with absolute certainty that I was never going to rescue them. They had to figure it out on their own. It was cruel, perhaps, but they were cruel first when they kicked me out believing they had left me with nothing, when they laughed at my supposed misery, when they discarded me like trash. This was simply the natural consequence of their own actions. And finally, I am truly free, free from the guilt, free from the obligation, free from being used. My family can call it cruelty. They can call it abandonment. They can call it whatever they want. I call it justice, and I call it freedom. And I would not trade this freedom for anything in the world. The story may have ended, but its aftermath opens up a larger discussion about the true boundaries in relationships. At its core, the drama surrounding Alejandro and his family reveals a quiet but powerful pattern that exists in countless households, the unspoken expectation that one person must carry the weight of everyone else. In many families, there is an invisible contract that no one signs but everyone seems to understand. One member becomes the provider, the stabilizer, the one who absorbs every demand in the name of harmony. The tragedy is not simply that money was taken or trust was broken. The deeper tragedy lies in how easily the system forms around that imbalance, how quickly people begin to believe that the quiet, responsible one exists primarily to keep the peace. In Alejandro's case, years of silent support slowly transformed him into something less like a son and more like an unlimited resource. What is striking is not only that his family used his savings to buy a house for his sister while believing it was everything he had, but that they felt entitled to do so. Society often disguises these dynamics with comforting phrases. Family sticks together, blood is thicker than water, children must sacrifice for their parents. These sayings can carry warmth and truth, yet they are also easily twisted into tools of manipulation. When those ideas are used to silence boundaries, they stop being values and start becoming chains. The real catastrophe is rarely the first selfish act. It is the collective agreement to pretend it is normal. When I step back and think about Alejandro's choice, I realize how uncomfortable stories like this make people feel. Perhaps that is because many of us recognize pieces of our own lives in them. I know that for some listeners, the moment he walked away from his parents may feel harsh. But if I speak honestly to you, the truth is that drawing a boundary often feels cruel only because we have been trained to believe endurance is the only form of love. For years, Alejandro carried the financial and emotional weight of his household without recognition. When he finally revealed the truth and refused to continue supporting them, it looked like rejection. But in reality, it was something closer to surgery. Removing a tumor is painful. It leaves scars. Yet without that painful act, the damage spreads until it consumes everything. If you have ever been the responsible one in your family, you may understand the strange guilt that comes with saying no for the first time. Even when you know you are right, a small voice whispers that you are selfish, ungrateful, or disloyal. That voice does not come from nowhere. It comes from years of conditioning, from cultural expectations that reward the quiet sacrificer and shame the one who breaks the pattern. What Alejandro did required an immense amount of courage, not the loud, heroic kind that people celebrate, but the quiet courage of choosing self-respect over approval. And perhaps the most important detail is that he did not simply walk away for revenge. He walked away to reclaim a life that had slowly been consumed by other people's expectations. Sometimes protecting your future means refusing to finance someone else's irresponsibility. Sometimes protecting the next generation means refusing to teach them that love equals endless sacrifice. Peace, when built on silence and obedience, is rarely real peace at all. It is only a temporary calm created by one person absorbing the conflict for everyone else. The moment that person steps away, the illusion collapses and the consequences finally appear. So here is the question that lingers after everything Alejandro experienced. If your own family betrayed your trust, spent what they believed was your last savings, and discarded you the moment they thought you were no longer useful, would you choose forgiveness and rebuild the relationship? Or would you walk away to protect your dignity and never look back?